Happy Valentine's Day. I have a question. Who's your favorite couple right now? No, seriously, like who is your favorite couple right now? So I asked that same question to our people here at the Zealots of Nerd Entertainment, I asked a bunch of our moderators and those who are under our podcast, and got some pretty interesting answers. So I'm gonna just do a quick two-part video here. First one, we're just gonna go ahead and talk about our top 10 favorite couples that we found in video games, comics, movies, and things like that. And then on the second one, just talk about a couple different things that I have going on right now, coming up as well, probably a couple of reviews that we have to be looking forward to. So, hey, without further ado, let's go ahead and zone in on it real quick. Handy dandy list here. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. First one we wound up having from Saitama Smash, he wound up actually saying Wanda and Vision, specifically from the MCU. I find this to be a pretty interesting one where we've had an opportunity of following Wanda all the way from when she was first introduced in Age of Ultron, all the way on to Multiverse of Madness, of course. But it's fun getting an opportunity to see her growth and see how things change. Definitely, it was very tearful, emotional. She went through quite a lot. So it's pretty interesting to see how things went and her relationship with Vision and how her relationship wound up leading to WandaVision, the entire series. Next, we wound up having Kali Kaiju. She wound up suggesting Inuyasha and Kagome. I found this one to be very interesting because I myself don't necessarily like this whole couple dynamic, but I can kind of understand into it. It's transits, times, as far as like multiple on different time period. But then it wound up being such a big love triangle with Kikyo in there and Yasha still being in love with her. It was just kind of a whole big mess to me. But I still understand and definitely respect onto that list. So Saitama Smash also came back with another one. One of one to suggest about Victor and Victoria from Corpse Bride, which I find pretty interesting considering the fact that we also had another similar love triangle during Emily, the Corpse Bride. That kind of just happened with Inuyasha, but kind of very different in the fact that he was practicing proposing to Victoria, wound up putting the ring onto Emily, and then she comes to life, and that becomes a whole thing itself. So very interesting, but I can understand the dynamic into it is that it really shows true love, and that's a big difference. Me and Emily was able to find her closure, while Victor and Victoria were finally able to marry each other outside of the family values, more so for themselves. They finally grew to love each other. So, absolutely love that there. Coming into Professor Tuck, Kirito and Asuna, which I'm not too surprised. Professor Tuck absolutely does like the Sword Art Online franchise. It honestly wasn't for me. But Kirito and Asuna wound up being very interesting as far as how the dynamic goes, considering the fact that with how these two almost opposing mindsets kind of work together in order to create a better good. I mean, obviously the couple wound up lasting all the way to, I mean, how many seasons is there now? I say seasons, like how many different shows and stuff is there now? Like, obviously it went good, it went somewhere. So, coming into Dr. Umar, wound up presenting something that I was pretty excited about. I was kind of upset that he kind of took my idea on this, but it's okay. Black Panther and Storm, specifically from the comics. So, for those of you guys who don't know, there was a specific writing period between where Black Panther and Storm wound up actually having a relationship together. And it wound up being fantastic. They even had a kid together. It became an amazing part in the comic franchise that unfortunately was rewritten back out again, sadly. But I mean, unfortunately, when it comes to comics, nothing good truly lasts, unfortunately. Let's be honest, look at Spider Man. Yeah. So, next thing we wound up having Skip Loves Anime. She wound up, Mira Jane, she wound up bringing up Meliodas and Elizabeth from Seven Deadly Sins. Very interesting dynamic here, considering the fact that Meliodas wound up being a demon, and Elizabeth, we understand, is actually an angel. But both of them, because they fell in love and didn't want to do their jobs, were cursed by their parents to forever suffer. Where Meliodas can't die, and Elizabeth continues in the cycle of reincarnation, where she forgets that she knows him. They fall in love. She gets her memories back, and as soon as she gets her memories, dies a horrible death again, only to be recycled again. Whereas Meliodas always remembers this and just continues to suffer with it. Pretty much kind of sucks there. So Honestly, it was still one where they finally broke the curse. Became fantastic. If you haven't seen Seven Deadly Sins, I encourage you to read the manga. Um, the first two seasons of anime was pretty good. Third season kind of started falling a little bit on the animation. It wasn't great, but we did a whole review on it already. Going still with Seven Deadly Sins, we wound up having Bond and Elaine. Fantastic. I love that. Definitely was my favorite couple as well when it came down to Seven Deadly Sins. It's not that I didn't like Meliodas and Elizabeth, but when it came to Bond's character and his love with Elaine and King's dynamic into it as well, because King was so upset. He was like, you want my sister? Hell no, you're not good enough for my sister. And it's one of those things like, no, Bond is actually really fantastic. He's a really great person and possibly one of the most deserving for Elaine, to be honest with you, especially understanding where his heart is into things. He's a thief, but he's a thief of rules. Gotta love that about him. Next, we wound up having last on from Mary Jane being Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask. I found this one pretty interesting because Sailor Moon was one of the first animes I watched when I was a kid. Never really enjoyed it as much. Not because of the Sailor transformations or anything and the action scenes. It was fantastic to me onto that. It was mostly the fact that Sailor got on my last nerve. I just absolutely did not like Sailor. Venus and Jupiter was definitely my favorite. Especially considering the fact that when you find out that there was actually a lot of changes from the anime, from the American version of the anime from the manga, where you understand the fact that two of these girls are actually not related, but are in fact in love. But they completely changed that because of the fact that during the time, LGBTQI plus community was nowhere near what it is today, and unfortunately, it was one of those things they had to hide away from society. So glad that we now have that information to know now. So that's a little couple thing there, at least for me into that. But Sailor Moon Tuxedo, one of the things that Mira wound up saying is the fact that as much as Sailor would go across the way out of different things, Tuxedo was always there to help bring her right back on the path. Try to be like, hey, let's bring it back, let's do this. And he always showed up at the very last minute to help out. So I was like, okay, I can definitely see into that. Going into JB, Jet Black Extreme, he took mine and my wife's absolute favorite onto this one, Gomez and Morticia Adams. We kind of consider this one aside from just movies, consider that it also has comics into it, but let's be honest. I don't think you're going to find any other couple where you will have Gomez Adams would do absolutely anything for Morticia. He loves that woman to death and back, absolutely improves it every single day. There is no movie, there is no show, there's nothing that says that he absolutely does not love his wife and his family. But he will go to the absolute ends of anything for her, and it is fantastic and beautiful. So, kind of upset that he took that one from that one, but it's okay. And last on the list, coming from me, Kokugasu, we wound up having Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter. And it wound up in this one being interesting. First off, again, this is like my third list onto this one. But it's also the fact of like, when it comes down to the MCU, how far are you willing to go? Like, Steve Rogers did everything, and he did it not just for his country, but for the love of his life. And he was very upset and understanding that he never got a chance to be with her. He had the opportunity to go back in time, fix things, and he said, you know what? I love you guys, I love my friends, but I'm going to be honest with you. I love her. She is my end goal. She is my destination. And with that, that's what we wound up having our top 10 list. So I see you guys for part 2, where I'll go ahead and just talk about a couple other love animes that I'm probably going to be doing a quick review on too. So look out before the end of this month. All right, I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye, y'all.